Hi, my name is Rick and I'm from Ukraine. The video you're about to see is a conversation with the Russian soldier in Ukrainian captivity, made by Ukrainian journalists Volodymyr Zolkin and Dmytro Karpenko. I want this kind of content be available to more people around the world. This is why I'm dubbing it into English. All rights belong to Zolkin, Karpenko and their team. Please enjoy. +7 965. I only remember my son's phone number. How old is he? 21. I'm here because of him. Well, what do you mean because of him? I wanted to... He was told that he just served the conscription service. He was terrorized for 6 months by contracts. Signed the contract. And wait, 965, surname Volkov. I think it will be interesting. He has WhatsApp there, right? I hope so. If you show me the picture, I'll tell you for sure. I don't remember if it was 8579 or 7985. I have doubt about that. Yes. Well, he served, so what? Well, he served. Do you smoke? Yes. Well, he's still answering. Before the talk. Thank you very much. Doesn't he fight? No, thank God he won't go. How do you know? I told him not to come here. When I got here, I realized that this is not our war at all. Come on, you'd be the first to understand this. Where should he be now? Near Moscow, at home. Well, it's the same time in Moscow. Can I write him a message? Then he hasn't read it yet. I'm calling him. He could be pretending he didn't read it. Send a voice message then, for him to pick up. Andrei, this is Dad. Please pick up the phone. I'll try to call you back now. This is very important and urgent. At least messages are being delivered. Delivered. So, did you go instead of him? No, the situation was different. He was summoned in November, because on September 23rd Oh, he read it. He read it? Because he served near Ryazan in the railway troops. Since May, they have been forced for 6 months to sign the contract. You'll tell me all of this later. We'll call you back in half an hour. Stay connected and with good internet. Thank you. So, and then it turned out that on September 23rd, when the mobilization was announced, don't tell me now, later, to not... It's not your war. They say it differently on TV. He replied, good. And what do they say on TV? Well, they say that mercenaries here are fighting against the Ukrainian people. I don't know. That's what they say. Have you seen mercenaries? No, not a single one. It was a shock for me. I was taken by completely Ukrainian guys. Not one. Not one. Not even the other. And by the way, they treated me pretty... They probably beat you up preemptively. Well, not really. I thought... Didn't they beat you up until you lost consciousness? There on the spot, no. But injury... Smoke. Do you have an injury? No, God saved me, because... Do you believe in God? Of course. Why? Why? We have been taught since childhood by our parents, grandpa. So do you believe or are you taught? I believe, of course I believe, that he exists. Yes, what happened to me, you can't call it anything but a miracle. Because I was under several shellings. First from the Ukrainian army, and nothing touched me. They were striking precisely at my dugout. I have nothing left of my backpack, nothing at all. They were striking precisely at your backpack. No, the backpack that was lying in a dugout, well, wasn't a dugout, it was covered with a tarp. A hole that was covered with tarp and closed with branches. I managed to... Are you smoking or talking to me? I smoke. The hole covered with branches, so to speak. I was close to your position. You'll tell me all this. I shouldn't tell you now. No. I just thought that... Well, I'll turn on the light in that thing, I'll turn on the microphone and hang it. We were messaging. Usually it takes longer, so as not to stop recording later. Good afternoon. Hello. How are you doing? It could have been much worse for us. Does it mean good, or how? Well, then tell me what it could have been worse means and how it is now. Well, now I'm alive. It could have been worse. I should have probably died. Why die? It makes no sense at all. Please, speak louder. Because of my own stupidity. Well... I don't even know how to explain it. I thought differently than it really is. Please introduce yourself. Volkov Vladislav Gennadievich. Date of birth, August 24th, 1978. 78. The city of your birth. The city of Nabережные Челны. Nabережные Челны. Do you give your voluntary consent for recording and publishing of this conversation? Yes. You can refuse. Yes, I do. Why? Well, Why? Any action has... Well, I don't want my children to serve, that's it. Do you want to convey with this conversation to your children? Well, your son will watch this conversation because we have already written to him. Yes. Do you have anything to tell your son? I worry about him, of course. Got it. Have you seen the picture we have? Now I see. What is drawn there? Well, the military is drawn. Yes, our military on the Zmyiny island. And there is a Russian warship that demands our guys to surrender. Our military shows something and sends it to... We had it in all stops, written on all cards. There's an obscene word there. You give your consent, right? Yes. You are 44 years old. Yes, I am 44 years old. What did you do before? You're a conscript, right? Yes, I am a conscript, or a contract soldier. I'm a conscript. Conscript. What did you do before conscription? I was an electrical engineer. An electrical engineer, cool. What did you do? I worked at a company that produced bath for galvanics. Bath for galvanics. In 3 words, can you tell me what it means? Because Well, applying coatings and various metals. Anodizing, silvering, gold plating. Got it. Did you do equipment? I did automation. Automation. Did you work there for a long time? At this particular enterprise, almost a year. And before that, too, what's your specialty? My specialty is an engineer of the automatic control systems. So you basically worked on a specialty. I worked on a specialty. Were you an ordinary engineer or some kind of boss? No, well, an ordinary engineer. We have no division. Is it a large enterprise? Not large, about 40 people. Well, it's not small. Well, not big. I see. It was bigger. What city did you work in? Moscow region, Dmitrovsky district. Is it far from Moscow? About 50 kilometers. Well, that's in fact is a suburb. I see. You started to tell us how you're here instead of your son. How did you get the summons? And this incredible story that you're instead of your son. I took the summons at work myself. It was for a young man who had just turned 24. By coincidence, my son was serving in the army at that time. As a conscript, he started in November 2021. His service was supposed to end in late November 2022. It was supposed to end, but on September 23rd, they announced mobilization. For the past 6 months, they had been trying to get him to sign a contract while he was still doing his conscript service with the railway troops. I kept telling him not to sign any contracts and just finish his service. When the mobilization was announced, their commander said, I talked to my son. They were told it didn't matter. Whether you signed a contract or not, you were going to the army anyway. I decided that I couldn't let him go before me. I should go first. In the worst case, if I get killed, he would still have a chance. For some reason, that's the picture I had in my head. Go first for what? I'll go first to... I thought from what I saw in the news that the territory of Ukraine was occupied by mercenaries. I don't know. Not the people of Ukraine, but Arabs were fighting here with the Russian army, which is trying to liberate. It may sound stupid. Let's try to break down everything you just said. Arabs, let me repeat what I understood that it was naive. No, we'll get to this. Let's make sure I and the audience are on the same page. Did I get this right? When you went here, you thought Arabs and, you can't say that word, African Americans had taken over the people of Ukraine. Well, not just them, mercenaries, different mercenaries, foreigners, different mercenaries. They had taken over the people of Ukraine, yes, and you, the brave army, came to free the people of Ukraine. Well, it sounds silly now, but that's the truth. Did you get that from watching TV? Well, I might have watched too much, I don't know. What were you watching? I watched news from all the channels. From all your channels. Well, accordingly, yes. And they were all saying this stuff on your channels. Well, they talked about how everything was progressing bravely. It was tough, we were short of people, that the border is huge, the line of contact, so... What did decide your journey to... It's interesting that your son's conscription was ended in November. Yes. Where is he now? At home, thank God. Why wasn't he sent to fight? Thank God he wasn't. He wasn't sent yet, okay. Also, you mentioned that you went instead of the person who was supposed to get the summons. Well, like I said, it's like, was it God or what? The summons came right when these events were happening. I had to pass it to a young man. I took it and went to the draft board. But wasn't his information on the notice? It had to be filled in. How does it work? They brought blank draft notices to work and said, well, how many summons came to work? One? Yes. So only one person from the company had to go. Yes? Was the 20-year-old supposed to go? Well, yeah. Why him? Or was it meant for him? Well, he served. That's what my boss told me. I don't know, honestly. And you volunteered to go instead of him? Yes, I took the summons, went to the military office, and, well, I actually thought they wouldn't take me because I'd never served. You had never served before. No, I'd never served. I'm not military. I have no connection to it at all. I just went to the military office, asked if I could go. They said no problem. They gave me an appointment for October 1st. For October 4th, I went to the military office on October 1st, and by October 4th, I was enlisted. They glued it into my military ID, which previously stated that I had never served. And, well, in which... Do you know if the person that you went instead of eventually went? I don't know. You don't know? No. What's your guess? I really don't know. I think he probably went later. They came for him again. That makes sense if he were a volunteer. But that wasn't the main thing. The main thing was that I went before my son. Before your son. Did you mention your son at the military office or anything? No, why would I? So it was possible. It was not just possible that you went and your son could still go. Well, I hoped that they wouldn't mobilize two people from the same family. Did someone tell you that, or is it just your guess, or did you read it somewhere? Honestly, I just thought that for some reason. Do you have a wife? Yes. Do you all live together? Yes. Do you have other children? Yes, a younger son. How old is he? 15. Well, 3 more years, but we'll win before then, so hopefully it won't come to him. It's such a confusing story for me, but... For real, you went instead of someone else, even though you didn't have to, and it's completely my foolishness, I don't know. Let's go back to your propaganda, what they tell you and how they tell it to you. This is the most interesting part for me. Propaganda? Well... I don't know if it's propaganda or what. It's just a picture I had in my head that we are one people. I grew up in the Soviet Union. I remember I have many Ukrainian friends I used to play soccer with. I always considered them my friends, my brothers, and never thought we could be at war with each other. So I formed a different picture. I have to interrupt you and ask a question. You said you have many friends here in Ukraine. No, in Ukraine. I studied with a guy from Luhansk in the institute. He's an absolutely reasonable person too. When did you last talk to him? In 2002, when we graduated from the institute. That's why I absolutely... And there's this, how to say, the law. We were told that there is a law that Russian language is banned in Ukraine. Is there such? I don't know if I should believe it. What language I am speaking to you in? In Russian. That's why I was surprised. What language do other people speak to you in? In Russian. Many people speak Russian, even the majority. How do you imagine a law banning a language? Our constitution says, well, you can speak any language you want. I got this from the news. Okay, I don't... As I said, it's a picture that I formed in my head for some reason. I don't know why. That's it. I studied in institute with a guy from Luhansk. We haven't seen each other since 2002. He left. Have you tried any alternative sources of information? The internet? I use it, but not for that. For repairing electrical equipment. I don't have time for that. I'm kind of... The only time I get home in the evening, tired from work, I usually turn on some news channels. I'm on them, I don't know, 24th, I don't know, first channel, second news channel. What else have you been told that doesn't match what you've seen and heard here? What doesn't match? Or I was very lucky, or it really doesn't match. When I was captured, no one beat me. Moreover, I didn't expect to be kept alive. How so? Just like that. I really didn't expect it. I thought that was it. I was surrounded and there was no way out. You'll tell the story of how you got surrounded. I just want to close the topic of propaganda first. Are you a victim of propaganda? Can we say that? Well, probably, to some extent. Look, there's also my naivety. Look, there's a story that was poured into your ears through TV. Outdoor advertising, big boards, or billboards, I don't know the difference. Radio, newspapers. This is a mass media. If you say that you're a victim, well, I asked you, a victim of propaganda. Then it turns out that you were deceived, right? If what they told you, well, or I wanted to be deceived, I don't know. That's another story, whether or not you wanted it. Probably, well, how else to call it? Naive stupidity. What can I... No, I can put it differently. You are not the first to say such things. You are in a shell. Well, yes, I created some little world for myself, I agree. And you're fine with that. You go to work, you come back from work, you have time to watch Skabeyeva TV, different Solovyov shows, these morons, basically, who shout from the blue screen. You're fine with everything. They tell you how well you live, another victory after victory. The whole world is against you, but you still stand. They tell you that, right? Yes. They tell you that everyone is fighting here except the Ukrainians, and the Ukrainians are waiting for you to come and liberate them. Yes. Who gives these narratives? Let's dig a little deeper. Who shapes the information agenda, in simpler terms? I don't know. I don't know. Well, probably the government, right? So someone must benefit from it. Well, possibly yes. Possibly yes. Well, if I were also not so, how to say, straightforward, yes. Let's not be straightforward. One could get information from various sources somehow. No, well, this is a consequence of your stupidity, that any person... Yes, well, I made a big mistake, which I regret, really regret. But on the other hand, if I hadn't made this mistake, maybe I would have let my son go here. Now I won't let him go under any circumstances. 100%. I don't know. Prison is better than what was there. Even with prison, I wouldn't... Because there's this bald guy in prison, his last name is Prigozhin, and there are Wagner guys there. So, if you get into prison, you would still end up in the army. Well, I don't know. You need to get a job somewhere where there's... What do you mean? I know you are with Wagnerites here. Here? Yes. So what are they doing here? Also fighting. I'm saying that getting into prison, you say better to go to prison. If you got into prison, they would create conditions for you in prison under which you would go to fight, only under the Wagner flag. Do you agree? Well, possibly. Well, possibly. Who did you vote for? For the president? For the current one? For Putin, Vladimir Vladimirovich. The Tsar. Okay, how many times have you voted for him? Every time? Yes. How long has he been ruling you? Since 2000. Is that normal? Well, because the country itself was developing. I didn't know about foreign policy, all the nuances. Your country was developing. Well, personally, starting in 2000, when I couldn't get a job after university in my specialty, there was a fairly large gap, about 10 years. Because the enterprise, let's say, in my specialty, which I studied, didn't pay the kind of money you could live on. Since year 2000, when he came to power, as it seemed to me, well, it didn't seem. I actually saw it. At first, I got a job, then I had the opportunity... Wait, let's... You were 20 years old in 2000. Well, I graduated from university in 2002 until the year 2000. So let's just, if we stick to the facts, you say that everything was bad before 2000, and from 2000 the president came, well, actually, the little Tsar, and everything got better. Before 2002 you weren't interested in what was happening in the country because you were a student, studying, before that school. I was starving, literally starving. How were you starving? There was nothing to buy food with, a loaf of bread for a day. Those were Yeltsin times, when the whole country was looted. I worked as a loader. I didn't have my own place to live. I rented... Well, I lived in the dormitory at that time, but... And your parents? My parents are divorced. My mom is seriously ill. She was always with me. And then the Tsar came and you got a job. Well, life became better and easier. Have you been abroad anywhere? I was in Egypt, in Turkey. Awesome. How do people live in Egypt, in Turkey? When were you in Egypt or Turkey? In 2014 I was in Egypt, in Turkey, I don't know, in 2018? Recently. Well, around 2018, 2019. Who lives better, Turkey or Russia? Well, of course, Turkey lives better. Oh, well, yes. Stop. Oh, it's better in Turkey than in Egypt. No, we are not comparing Turkey and Egypt. We are comparing Turkey versus Russia, Egypt versus Russia. Well, in Turkey life, at least from the perspective of staying in hotels and so on, of course it's better. Well, in hotels, of course it's better. Why does Turkey produce less? Well, I mean, if we compare natural resources and everything else, how it is that Russia sells gas, oil, everything, natural resources to the whole world, but people live worse than others? Well, I wouldn't say I lived poorly. It's just my own stupidity. I have, like, my own house. Well, lived not badly and could live better are different things. Well, possibly, when there is something to compare it to. It was worse in the 90s, much worse. For me personally. I'm telling the truth, right? That's how it was in my life. That's why I'm saying the 90s were very difficult years for me. So when Putin appeared in the 2000s, it became better over time. Dubai in 1991, Dubai in 2012. Well, and Moscow also transformed similarly, except for Moscow. Except for Moscow, well, I was born in Naberezhnye Chelny. The city has also transformed, also in approximately the same proportions. Roads, bridges. Moscow, 1991. Oh, 1998. Moscow in 2015. And Dubai, a desert and a build-up city. Well, in any case, there is progress both there and here. I just know that from 1995 to 2004 in Moscow, it stood still as it was. Well, even I don't know until 2004, when did Lushkov leave? Nothing changed for the better, everything was only getting worse. Why does a country that trades oil and gas have poor people? Do you agree that Russia is a poor country? Yes. Yes. Explain this phenomenon. The Tsar is good. With him, everything... Well, it's clear he has yachts, ships, Gelendzhik. Well, as I imagined this picture, we had a big debt. Starting there, I know that not so long ago we paid it off. What is it called? With the Americans. Not with the Americans. The debt from the World War II, for Lend-Lease, yes? Only recently did we close it. We had a big debt. To the European Union, to the Germans. Well, I connected it with the fact that development was still happening economically. People see my reaction there. I believe. So you believe that now Russia should take a breath because it closed the debts from World War II? No, I'm just saying how I understand, but your thoughts must have been formed based on some data. So someone told you this, or you heard it somewhere? Well, of course, it's whole news. Do you want me to reveal a military secret to you? Did they give you a military secret as a serviceman? No. Why? Then I'll share it with you, with your permission, a military secret. Lend-Lease, which you are talking about, is a completely non-repayable story. No one paid. America provided a lot of things, starting from machines, tanks, and all armaments, food, canned goods, stew. And for this, the Soviets did not pay. This is one of the conditions of the Lend-Lease. In the same way, we are now receiving weapons on a free basis. Only thanks to Lend-Lease, the Second World War was won. And how many global fronts were there? What is the difference between the Second World War and the Great Patriotic War? Between the Second World War and the Great Patriotic War. This is completely a history topic. What sort of completely... Well, this is a topic... What is the Great Patriotic War? The Great Patriotic War is the years when the Soviet Union opposed fascist Germany. Right, since when and to what date? From June 22nd, 1941 to May 9th, 1945. Why did the Soviets begin to oppose? What did fascist Germany do? Well, they violated the Treaty on Non-Aggression. I don't know, and treacherously attacked. As far as I remember, it started with Brest. What is the Second World War? The Second World War began in 1939. Yes, what was there? Till 1946. No, it ended with the nuclear strikes on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, if I remember correctly, in 1946. What is the difference between the Second World War and the Great Patriotic War? Right, it began in 1939. I know about 1939. What happened? Well, Germany attacked the countries of the European Union. Yes, Poland and others. I don't remember the details. Yes. Do you know that from 1939 to 1941, the Soviets were allies of Germany? Apparently, it was a joint treaty. In addition to the treaty, there was also financing and rear support for fascist Germany. Cargoes of clothes, oil, metal were transported by wagons to Germany to make the tanks and all that stuff. They were allies, and then they were divided in Poland. There was a joint parade in Poland. I wasn't aware of this. Why don't they tell you this? I don't know. Because it's an inconvenient history, right? Maybe, yes? Okay, well, and you are saying that Russia was so poor and unhappy because it had a lot of debts after the war. And the country was dealing with all of that, paying the debts, and it was like, very soon a good life will begin for everyone. What do you mean a good life will begin? I'm telling you, I had enough money for a vacation. I had my own home, I had a simple car, I had a vegetable garden. What else could I ask for? I could go on vacation once a year. I didn't think I was poor. I'm not an oligarch, nothing like that, but I understand that you're not. Well, there were people who lived much worse than me. I draw conclusions from this. Why, in the country that trades oil and gas all over the world, are there people who are living below the poverty line? Should we look at the statistics? Maybe not everyone works the same. I don't know. Where do all these billions of dollars from oil and gas go? This is too deep. This isn't my topic for sure. Because this is a topic for oligarchs who are making profit. A lot of money was stolen in the 90s. I don't know how much money was taken abroad in the 90s. In the third quarter of 2022, the poverty line was 13,688 rubles. What was your salary? I had 70k rubles. You had a good salary. The number of people with the income below the poverty line in the third quarter of 2022 was... Guess, how many millions of people? Well, it's hard to say. 15.3 million people, or 10% of the country's population. 10% of the country's population can't feed themselves. Well, maybe. Well, it is what your statistics department gives us. Russian statistics department provides information about the poverty line in the quarter of 2022. I know that many people drink. Why do they drink? Why do they drink? Yes. Why would they drink? Because they like it. For example, now in the army. Because once you drink, there are no problems. A poor man found some money for a bottle of boярышник, got drunk, and there are no problems anymore until the next day. Not everyone. Probably. I don't know for sure. It's just the first time I hear such a theory, that all the troubles are due to the fact that a lot of debts and country had to pay back. This is nonsense. No, I'm not talking specifically. This is just an example. There was an economical development in the country. What do you know if you're saying, well, the roads became better? It was a complete disaster. Your roads should be better than in any European country, better than in Dubai. Well, this was enough for me, what was happening. I'm just surprised. A person went abroad. This is actually a rarity. Out of 500 or 600 people with whom we have already talked, only probably 10 people had been abroad. In Egypt, it's terrible there. There was a garbage dump right behind the hotel. In Egypt, yes, such a story. So, I like the sea, but this is not the place where I would like to live, for example. In short, Putin is a good president. Tsar. No, I don't want anything now. This war is not our war. No, we have to get to the bottom of this. No, I don't want to. What happened on February 24th, 2022? Please use the terms you used in relation to fascist Germany, which in 1941 treacherously... Well, not probably, but definitely the Russian Federation, the armed forces of the Russian Federation treacherously crossed the border with Ukraine. Why did they do it? Well, I can't say for the whole country. No, you said that there were mercenaries and stuff. I don't know, it's not my business. This is... Who sent you here personally? Me personally? My stupidity. I could have avoided it. No, the fact that you, the D'Artagnan, went instead of receiving a summons. Okay, let's not take you personally. No, let's take you personally. Let's imagine that the summons was filled out and you were summoned. Let's remove the story that you went yourself. Who sent you here? Is there a person? So, I just want to... Let's think. The person who wanted you to run here with a rifle. Well, our government, right? Does this government have a face? Government? Well, the president of the Russian Federation. Tsar. Putin, commander-in-chief. Yes, why are you so afraid to say it? Putin has sent you here. Why are you... It's a fact. You don't even need to prove it. On February 23rd, he announced the so-called SWO, your special military operation. You are the one who voted for him. How many times did you vote for him? 5 times? 4 times. 5 years each? For 20 years, you voted for him 4 times. Yes? So you entrusted him with the right to decide what to do with you, right? Right. He decided so. Correct. Well, it's a fact. I didn't make it up, right? Right. As a result, you were sent here by deception. In order for this deception to work, someone poured it into your ears. Propaganda. Through the media, right? They put a wrong picture in your head. It's a fact. You told it yourself. Well, I say it. Yes, I agree. Well, it is. Who pays the money to the media, to your state, federal channels? I don't know. Your government pays to all those state dumps. Accordingly, the information policy is set by the one who pays for the music, chooses the music. Okay, well, maybe it's not my topic at all. If you ask me about, I want you to start thinking. I already... There is a connection. The president wanted to start a war. To create the right mood among the masses, they had to pour in a lot of random information for a long time. About some mercenaries, about some foreigners. Did you see any? No. About the oppression of the Russian language. They told you there, crucifying boys, putting people in jail for speaking Russian. I bet. I don't know, but 100% such stories would have been made. I'm sure they were made and shown to them, and they sat in the kitchens and, oh God, how oppressed they are. So, what's so good about your president then? I'm not saying anything, there are no perfect people. There aren't. Okay, the Chechen War, the first and the second. Georgia. I'm not a politician nor a historian, and it was a long time ago. So it turns out that your president is up to his elbow in blood. Every 5 years he starts some wars. Just the Chechen one was in 1995. And the second, Chechen War, also in 1998 as far as I remember. Nah, later. Well, yes. I have the internet. The Second Chechen War was in, let's check now, in 1998. So it doesn't look like I'm lying here. 1993, 94, then 95, 96, and 98, something like that. Nope. After 2000, if someone got involved, then the Second Chechen War. See? I'm not lying. The Second Chechen War officially ended with the cancellation at midnight of April 16, 2009. I could already be a historian. Well, maybe, I don't. There was just a fighter here who fought in the Second Chechen War, killed Chechens, and he sat next to a Chechen. And he couldn't look him in the eye, because the Chechen is now fighting on your side, the side of the killers and occupiers, and next to him is a GRU officer who killed Chechens. Something like that. It started on August 7, 1999. No, I'm reading something wrong. Anyway. Yes, from 1999 to 2009, the Second Chechen War. How did it end? Well, how did it end? With the destruction of groups there, on the territory. Doesn't this story seem similar to you? What groups? Chechens lived there. They tried... Do you even know the history of the Chechen War? Well, this is generally not my topic. I can't really... Got it. They are different because they consume information that will be useful. So they are easy to control. They, of course, do not pour inconvenient information. They don't say that Ichkeria wanted to become independent and Moscow didn't want that. So the war started the first time. Second time, they bribed the Kadyrov family, a clan, who fought on the side of the Russian Federation troops and killed their fellow Chechens. Villages were destroyed and everything else. And now Russia pays tribute to Chechnya. Are you aware? Well, maybe I don't. Well, if this is shown on the news, it will be inconvenient news. Okay, let's get back to your story. It's clear that you don't want to hear inconvenient history. No, why? I just don't know. I'm not an expert in this, that's all. Yes, this is why you... It's just a stupid situation I ended up in. Stupid for me. Why is it stupid? Well, for me. Tell us how you... Where were you sent after mobilization? To Staritsa. That doesn't tell me anything. It's in the Tver region. There was... When did you enter Ukraine? I'll tell you now, December 15th. December 15th. When were you captured? I'll tell you now, February 16th. So you fought all of January and February, 2 months. Well, not really fought. I was mainly engaged in building those dugouts. Digging trenches. Logs, yes, mostly. I mean, Did you shoot there? No, I never shot. At all. You didn't shoot. How was the army supply? Supply? Everything there, I don't know, was really old. Old? No. If you want to tell me a secret, you won't. Was there enough food? Yes, the food was alright. I see. Tell me about your last day in the occupying army. Well, I have to tell you about 2 days then. Tell me about 2 days. I was sent to reinforce the positions. Where was that? Near Kreminna. To reinforce the positions of the 2nd company. Which unit did you serve in? I was a signalman. What was it called correctly? The 4th Battalion Signalman, 488th Regiment, 4th Battalion Mortar Battery Management Division. Which brigade is this? We don't have a brigade, 488th Regiment, all mobilized. Understood. You arrived at the positions. I was sent to the positions 2 days before capture. Yes, you arrived at the positions. How many of you were there? I was brought in at 5 in the morning, early morning. It was dark. They brought 5 of us for reinforcement. They led us through an unfamiliar area to the farthest dugouts. And they said I should sit there and observe. There were 3 dugouts nearby. They told me that my place was in the farthest one, in the 3rd dugout. In the coolest one? The closest one to your positions. How far was it to our positions? It turned out later no more than 100 meters. So, and did you have a radio? No, no one had a radio, no one. And how were you supposed to... How many people were in your dugout? There were 7. When I was brought there were 7 of us in 3 dugouts. And when we were captured, there were 2 of us. 5 people left at 5 a.m. on that day. They left the positions at 5 a.m. And those who were in these dugouts, what? Why didn't you leave? Well, I understood that they were going for a wash. They explained to me that I was going for reinforcement and that we would be rotated once every 5 days. And firstly, I didn't know that exactly 5 people. Moreover, I didn't even know them. In short, they all left. So for 3 dugouts, 3 trenches, there were 2 people left. 2 people for 3 dugouts. Yes, 2 people. At the moment of capture, yes. Did you have dry rations there? Honestly, not honestly, were no field rations at all. What did you eat for 2 days? Well, what I took with me in my backpack. Ah, well, you had food. They weren't dry rations, they were canned goods. They left, and what happened next? If you didn't have a radio, how were you supposed to report that something... Well, a bit further from these 3 dugouts, there was another dugout that I saw. There were 3 people there. I understood that perhaps someone in these 3 dugouts had a radio. Perhaps, but I didn't see it. How were you instructed? I was instructed to observe for an hour. That's what we did for those 2 days. So they would wake me up on time. I would crawl out of this, well, how to say? It's hard to call it dugout. It was a hole covered with plastic and branches. Well, basically, that's what it was. A hole covered with plastic tent and branches. A protected thing. Not protected at all. I'm kinda trolling. Yes, yes. Well, you crawled out, and what did you do? Well, for an hour I watched the direction I was told to see if there was any movement. As I was explained, if there was any movement and I saw someone, I was supposed to shout to a fight command immediately and take the position with the rifle ready. Were you prepared to fight? Not at all. I never shot. I never shot except for 15 rounds at the range. I never shot in my life. 15 rounds at the range and then this trench. Did you shoot from the trench? No, what's the point? I even, how to say... Okay, let me not interrupt you. They left, and what happened? The shelling began. It was the third shelling in a row. Precisely at these three dugouts. The previous evening, it was exactly these dugouts that were shelled. I just managed to dig out there. On the first day, I realized that when it hit like that, on the first day I was there, it hit very close. I realized that I would be covered with shrapnel in another hour or two, because there was forest around and the mortar fragments flying everywhere, chaotically. The tarp would not save me. I dug a hole in the ground like a fox burrow. A burrow, probably. In the same dugout, without throwing the sand out. Just that was down, not down, to the side. To the side. And when the shelling began, I just climbed into this niche. The day before, the whole hole was shrapnel through. I can't call this a dugout. There were really no logs, nothing. I got it, yes. The whole hole was pierced. My backpack was completely pierced through with shrapnel from the mortar. And at that moment, I was just lying in the side branch, so... In the evening, I reported when there were still 7 people. In the neighboring 2 dugouts, by the way, there were blockages, in one row, in the other in 2 rows, in 2 rolls. So I said that if there would be one more such shelling, and I would, as they say, not survive, they said, you can move to the neighboring dugout tomorrow. Tomorrow, when it came in the morning, at about 7 o'clock in the morning, the artillery shelling began. I was still in my dugout. I did not know that those 5 people weren't there anymore. Did they leave without telling you anything? They did not say anything. They told the person who came with me. His call sign was Prapor. I remembered. Prapor, probably an ensign. Unlikely. He's a private, just a call sign. So, and the artillery shelling began, and they were already hidden precisely. I don't know, it seemed to me that it was exploding just above my head. I was covered with sand in that niche. I barely got out of the sand that fell on me from above. So, it didn't last long. Then the shooting began. I realized that I had to somehow get out. My legs were cramped, everything fell apart. This niche was not big enough for the whole body, but for the half of the body and a bit deeper. My legs were badly pressed by sand below the pelvis. I could breathe, but I could not pull out the waist from that deepening. I got it. And what? While I was getting out, I immediately realized that the offensive was already underway. There were machine gun bursts everywhere. I heard this Prapor ran up to me and he said, "Why don't you get out?" I said, "I'm blocked. Alive or not alive?" He said, "Come on, get out urgently, we need to retreat." I managed to get out somehow. And I ran. I didn't even think about the rifle or anything. It just stayed buried there, because it was next to me. Yes. So, I got out. I didn't even know which direction to run. I asked this Prapor in which direction I should run. He said, "Run in the direction of..." and indicated. There would be ours. But there was shooting from all sides. I saw that people were everywhere. We ran forward with him. He was a little ahead of me and I was a little behind, not more than 70 meters. And right in front of my eyes, I ran following him step by step. The bullet went through his head. I saw the brains flew out, so... And he fell. I immediately collapsed next to him and already, how to say... I tried to bandage him up. He was breathing, but he had a bullet hole in his head. I don't want to show it on myself. The bullet went in from the back of his head and went out through the teeth, through the cheek. But he was breathing. He could not speak. Breathing, eyes, the blood came out, and he could not get up. I asked him, "Can you get up?" He said, swaying his head like no. I understood that his cerebellum was hit or something. He made some movements with his hands. I understood, but they were unclear. He was doing some unclear movements. I took this thing out of I bandaged his head. From his first aid kit, there was this bandage. I bandaged his head. And then I just began to look around. It was just some kind of valley. Well, not a hole, nothing. I saw through the bushes that no more than 50 meters from me were Ukrainian soldiers. From behind, from the left, from the right, from all sides, I realized that even if I got up and ran, I would be immediately hit by this crossfire. Immediately. They were so close to us, but to run, the long-range firing point from where they were shooting in my direction, as far as I understand, this is exactly where we wanted to run. I don't know, our next position was not closer than in 150-200 meters. In any case, I couldn't make it there. I decided that I would lie in this place. Maybe they wouldn't notice me, but this maybe didn't happen. How did they notice you? I don't know. I lay there for about 10 minutes. Our guys came up to you. Yes, I was lying. I didn't even have a gun with me. There was nothing on me. I put my hands aside because I saw them really close to me, 10-15 meters. Did the prapor move? Groan? Yes, it was hard for him to breathe. He coughed blood all the time from his mouth. It did leak. He only moved. He didn't talk. I don't think he would have survived. I also think he didn't. It went into the back of the head and came out through the cheek. Well, I'm not a medic, but I don't know. He couldn't move. Our guys came up to you, and what? They came up to me and asked if I had a grenade. They saw that I didn't have a weapon, that my arms were aside. I said that I didn't have any weapon or grenade or anything. They told me, turn over slowly. I turned over slowly. They came up to me. They calmly, so to speak, searched me. They saw that I was empty. Yes, I understand. And they told me to move to the dugout fast. And I'm telling you that no one touched me. I was surprised. Everyone spoke clear Russian. Well, they talked to me like that. Maybe there were some words between themselves, but I understood everything they were talking about. Of course you understand. You understand me, right? Yes, of course. Why? Because we speak Russian now. Can you speak Ukrainian? No. Now imagine we can speak two languages. I believe you. Is it a bonus or not? A bonus. Some people can speak several, 3 languages. I know 7 languages. How many do you know? 1, and even that one poorly. And even that one poorly? Maybe I... Should we write a dictation? Well, I can write it, of course. In fact, it's not even interesting what happened to you next. You were interrogated. You told about your positions. It's clear. Is it correct? I didn't tell anything about the positions. Why should I be interrogated? I didn't even know our positions. I was on those positions for 2 days. They brought me at night, and I didn't leave the pit anymore. Why did you say that it isn't your war? Isn't my war? It's stupid that I was sent for the reinforcement. The person who I told my commander that I never held a rifle.
в руках никогда не держал.
Why did they send me there? I didn't understand. It was really just like meat. I couldn't even resist. No, for 2 months you were satisfied. 2 months? I couldn't influence it. I wasn't satisfied with many things. What didn't you like? This endless trench digging. I thought they would take me as a signalman, engineer, as a person who understands automatics, electric motors. I know mechanics well, and they used me mainly for digging trenches, like an excavator. So, if you were used in line with your purpose, everything would be fine. Well, am I making the right conclusion? No, So, if you were a signalman, sitting in the headquarters and answering the phone, everything would be fine. You noticed right that... No, it wouldn't be fine. What wouldn't be fine, then, if you were a pure signalman? No, I don't want it anyway anymore. To me, I had the wrong opinion. That's it. I'm sure of it now. What would you say to your son when he watches this interview? You'll talk to him now, by phone. What would you want to say to him? I would want to tell him not to come here under any circumstances, no matter what happens to me. Why? Give me the points first, if you want. Essentially, this is like the message we ask prisoners of war to give at the end. We always ask the prisoner to address their fellow citizens and say something. Should they come here to fight or not? If they do, they need to bring warm clothes, swim in trunks, sunglasses. I don't know. There's a good phrase, "This is not our war." That's it. I have nothing to add. There are plenty of things to do at home. There are things to strive for at home. First of all, Russia is a big country. Why do we need all this? This is a fratricidal war, not fratricidal. You are not brothers to us. Well, maybe. Not maybe, it's a fact. You made up this "we're brothers" thing. In any case, any war is not worth human lives. There shouldn't be such a thing. Excuse me, then let me ask, what the hell is the point of the Tsar you personally elected 4 times, sending you to kill citizens of another country? Do you even care what's happening here with us? Until now, how can I say it? I don't even know. Maybe I just didn't think about it. Not that I didn't care or did care, I just didn't think about it. No, you're lying right now. Why? Because you said you were a victim of propaganda. They filled your ears with that there were mercenaries and foreigners attacking Ukraine. I thought the Ukrainian people wanted things to be like they were during the Soviet Union. That's just my personal dream. Let's talk about the Soviet Union. Well, there were brotherly relations. No. In the Soviet Union? No? No. Why are you... We traveled all over the country freely. We communicated with each other. So what? Wait, you mean traveling freely without borders? Yeah, without borders. Guess what? My passport now lets me travel to over 100 countries of the world. I wanted to say krayin in Ukrainian. The EU is completely open to us, any country. I've been to almost all EU countries. Well, I'm saying it's my personal... You asked my opinion. I'm not saying it's right. Why was there no Holodomor, famine, in Moscow after the war, but we had one in 1946? There was famine in Moscow. I kinda remember. For me personally, in the 90s, people were dying of hunger in whole villages. Thousands, tens of thousands of people. Do you know why? Because the Soviets took everything they could and shipped it off to America and Europe under contracts. And do you know why? Because they needed to build the Savok. And to build it, they needed technology they didn't have, because they were like this, dumb, and bought all the... They bought factories, entire projects, and they were built under the guidance of American and European engineers. Massive construction. How many thousands of people were killed through labor? What the hell is the Soviet Union is good? What's good about the Soviet Union? Well, it's my childhood. Name the good things about the Soviet Union. Well, I already said, like, I don't know, different pioneer camps, different peoples. Families seemed to live more or less equally, as I thought. I don't know, played. It was carefree. Not everyone lived equally at all. Well, my group did, more or less equally. But you didn't really live in the Soviet Union. Well, how? You only since 78 till 90. So 12 years is a lot, not a small age. How old were you when it collapsed? 13. What do you remember from that? Vending machines on the streets with soda. Well, that too. And that, well, is that a problem? There's an Nescafe machine over there. Well, of course you don't have one anymore. What kind of nonsense is this? Well, like, no, that's your opinion. It's yours. I have no issue with... Well, like, people lived friendly, bringing pies to each other. Who brought pies? To where? Right from the 9th-floor buildings to each floor. The fact that you stopped visiting each other during your Tsar's time and started looking at each other like wolves, that's your problem. For example, I get along well with my neighbors. Just because the USSR became Russia, does that mean you were forbidden from visiting your neighbors? What's with the tone? What are these ridiculous claims? No, well, I'm just saying. But you understand that I'm telling the truth right now. Well, possibly yes. Well, did the president forbid visiting neighbors? In the USSR, you were allowed. Andrei, wait a second. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Dmitry. I'm a journalist from Ukraine. Your father is in captivity. If you want to talk to him, I need to inform you that the conversation will be recorded and published. Okay. You need to either agree or disagree. All right, fine. I agree. Okay, go ahead and talk. Just don't say where you are. Andrei. Oh, hello. Listen, I'm alive and well. Just say that. I'm waiting for an exchange. Don't take any actions. The treatment here is completely different. Take action. He needs to go to the military office and say you're in captivity. Oh yes, you need to go to the military office and say that I'm in captivity. So they, or better yet, call Dima, and he can influence this faster. The military office is a must. Don't take any actions regarding other calls or anything. Just don't. That's wrong. They should make a big fuss, inform everyone, the military officers, the unit, the prosecutors. Anyway, Andrei, I think Mom wrote, by the way. Mom, I think wrote about you. Are you aware that I'm in captivity? Yes, we saw the video on the 20th. Ah, what video? Well, I think you and 5 other people were in the video saying you were in captivity. We paid for you. Our subscribers paid so you wouldn't be killed. Well, I'll tell you this. Here, no matter what happens to me, there's nothing to be done. Just so you understand clearly, from A to Z. The second thing is, well, I was lucky. They said getting captured means getting killed, raped, etc. None of that happened, thank God. I had 2 options, either rise and die or get captured. I understand. 16 people were killed there. How are you doing? How's your life? Health?
Да вообще всё
Everything's
нормально.
fine, thank God. I'm afraid to jinx it.
Чтобы обменяли.
I just want to be exchanged and get home. I'm fed up. I was planning to go to the draft board this weekend.
Нет,
No, don't go to the military office at all,
потому что тебе
because you don't need that.
это маме скажи, пускай она
Tell mom, let her go or someone else. Remember Dima? Dima is my friend. Got it. Okay.
Она знает, ему
She knows. Call him. He'll move this forward faster, just so I get exchanged. Got it, got it.
Я сейчас сижу, ну как бы в надежде,
Because I'm sitting here, hoping that Ukrainian guys are waiting for an exchange in the same captivity
в плену, и
and will just be exchanged. I understand, yeah.
так все остальное мне дико.
And everything else, I'm really lucky. I'm telling you the truth. This is the pure truth without any... There was almost no chance of survival. So this is 1 in 1,000 that it turned out this way. A miracle. Got it? Yeah.
Так что, блин,
So, I'm glad that
переживал, что вы не знаете.
I was worried you didn't know and something...
Что-то, ну как бы не было
I
уверен,
wasn't sure if our military would inform you
наши
that
военные
I'm in
сообщат,
captivity at all,
что я в плену вообще, потому что не знаю.
because I don't know how many people have died. Well, actually, Mom called your... Who was it? You had a major, I don't know, a colonel, basically the military person responsible for you. He said he transferred you to another group, and that's it. He said something like, I don't know anything about him. Then we told him, he said, well, I transferred him to another group because he was acting up.
Ну вот он меня
So he just dumped me.
отпустил, и всё.
Well, that's basically it.
Поэтому я и не знаю, как там.
That's why I don't know what's going on.
А так-то они просто
They just abandoned me like cattle.
бросили меня как скота, да и все.
I understand. Got it. What about the exchange? Do you know anything about that? How often do they happen?
Я не
I
знаю,
don't know, Andrei. Well,
ты знаешь, в
you
любом
know,
случае лучше сидеть
it's better to sit and wait for an exchange
ждать
than
обмены, чем вот как бы
whatever
там
happened
было,
there.
там и
And
то место, куда меня
the place
отправили,
they
я там
sent me, I survived there by some miracle under shelling. I understand. Okay, I will.
там летело и от
There
наших,
were shells coming from both our side and the Ukrainian army. It was crazy there. The things Mom sent, just so you know, are all gone. Did everything burn? They turned into dust. Shrapnel tore everything apart in the first second. Everything got shredded. Got it? Understood. Well, under no circumstances should you go to the military office, because I don't know what that might lead to for you. Who the heck knows? Understood.
вообще забыл.
Forget the way there, alright?
Ладно?
Got it. Yeah.
Всё.
That's
Ничего
it.
со мной не случилось.
And no matter what happens to me, you don't make any
Решения
decisions.
не принимаешь по поводу.
Да что с вами
What could
может
happen to
случиться?
you? I don't understand your phrase, whatever happens to me. What could happen to you? You're in captivity.
С вами
Nothing can happen to you here, but they need to knock all the doors to get you on the lists. What do you mean, whatever happens? Nothing can.
не может ничего.
Andrei, I'm telling you, don't worry. Calm mom down. Thank God everything turned out fine. Okay, don't pay anyone money there. Yes, don't pay anyone. That's what I wanted to say. Well, you can pay to the Ukrainian armed forces.
В ЗСУ.
To ZSU. Andrei. Yes, yes.
Как там
How's the situation? What are people saying? People, they are not saying anything.
Ну, война нужна.
So, is the war needed or not? What's the mood among the masses? About the war, I don't know. I don't follow those sources. I don't watch. Are you at work somewhere? I see you're wearing some... After work, yes. I'm heading home now. Got it. Well, that's it.
Андрюх,
Andrucha, I hug you tightly. Love you very much. I love you too. Well, okay, bye.
давай.
Goodbye. Everything's okay. Thank God that it happened this way. Everything turned out well. Okay, I understand. Bye. All right.
До свидания.
Goodbye. Or did you want to say something else? No, that's all. Thank you very much. I'm very happy. if you could give me a cigarette.
Потом, после.
Later, after the interview.
Обращение человек
A
делает
person
ничего
doesn't
не
want to
себе.
make any statements, right?
Я просто не
I
могу
just can't
обращаться.
address.
Почему?
Why?
Давайте обратимся к Путину.
Let's address Putin, your Tsar.
Царю вашему. Вы его выбирали
You elected him.
к Путину.
To
Вот
Putin.
это я перехожу.
This would be...
Можно я не
Can I not do that? I can't.
могу?
Почему?
Why? Can I do it for you?
Можно.
You can.
Царь мой Путин
My Tsar
великий,
Putin the
спасибо,
Great,
что ты меня
thank you for
призвал,
calling me.
спасибо, что
Thank
ты
you for
меня
sending me to
отправил
die in an unknown place.
Так можно?
Is that okay? Of course it is. We live in a free country and do what we want. In captivity, you have more rights, but you're afraid to use them.
Я вам в поэме.
I'm going to become a poet, it seems.
Могу кратко.
I can
У
briefly...
нас раньше была
We used to
рубрика
have a segment
«Послесловие».
called Afterword.
Мы с Вовой говорили
It's when me and Vova would share our opinions on what we
то,
heard
что
during the
вы услышите во
conversation.
время беседы. Если хотите,
If you want, I can announce it.
моё.
My afterword, not yours. I forgot the mic again.
Перед нами
We have a
по сути
classic person here
человек,
who has been
которого
completely
съела
consumed by
пропаганда
propaganda,
полностью.
who lives in the Soviet era and is completely fine with it. He has a life, work, home, nothing more. This is a classic dude who comes home from work. Dude is not meant as an insult, I apologize. He turns on Rabzia 24 and they tell him about the Natas and the biolaboratory. Did they tell you about that?
Да.
Yes?
Это плохо?
Is that bad? I don't really know what for. It's complicated.
Ну, у вас тоже
Well,
есть
you have biolabs
болезнь.
too. When you're sick and
Это
take tests, it's a biolab. Imagine that. Ah, well,
Голуби,
pigeons
выращенные
grown in
в
biolabs.
То есть вот это вот всё
So all of
живёт
this,
там.
it lives there.
Это вскормили,
It's nurtured, prepared, and then thrown at the right time.
и он
And
правильно
he's
говорит,
right
что
when he
меня
says
как
they
раз
threw me like meat. It's a fact.
в армии не был, 15
Wasn't in the army, 15 bullets.
Так
Can you
можно
win
победить?
like that?
Нет.
No.
Кто победит?
Who will win in all this?
В этом
In this, Ukraine will win, of course.
победит Украина.
Почему?
Why? May you speak louder?
Потому что
Because they are fighting for their own.
Правильно.
Exactly
совершенно
right.
разницу.
Do you know the
Знаете
difference
между
between
нашими
our
солдатами и
soldiers
вашими?
and yours?
Ничего нового не придумали.
Nothing new has been invented. Nazi Germany attacked
Скинулись там Штаты.
the US and other countries that didn't take direct part in combat, got united and helped.
Помогли. И победил
And the Soviets
Вы
won.
сейчас на месте
Now you're in the
фашистских
place of Nazi Germany, attacked a country smaller than you. What's the population of Ukraine? I don't know, 40 million? 40 million, correct? Correct. I don't know.
А вас сколько?
And how many of you? We are 140. What went wrong with you? You have more tanks than anyone. The Soviets were producing them every... I didn't see any tanks. Nothing. There are. Just old stuff. Old stuff, right. The Soviet Union was producing them. I don't know. T-72s, and you can hardly find them. I didn't see any equipment. I saw what you could call Katyushas. I don't know what they're called. I don't understand. But I saw stuff from the 60s. Because you're a well-prepared military. You, if you're not aware. They say that all mobilized people are trained for 3 months and then sent out. There are entire paratroopers coming out. Yeah, that wasn't the case.
Вот и...
That's it.
И он хочет
And he
жить
wants to
в
live with
газированных
soda,
и
march to
газированных
school in rows. I don't want that. I lived normally. I don't want to live in sodas. I lived normally. I just say, I had enough. I don't know. I only did something stupid because of...
Только из-за того, что
Just because I thought my kids would be definitely sent.
сейчас отправить моих детей. И всё.
And that's it.
Потому что поэтому
I thought I'd go first.
Ну, понятно.
I see.
Спасибо за
Thanks for
беседу.
the conversation.
Короче, проверим новый
Let's
микрофон.
test the new microphones. You don't need it now.
Что он там
What did you like so much about that Soviet Union?
Что у него
What's
там?
good about it? What's good about the Soviet Union?
Вот то, что
What's
сейчас
in your
есть в
troops
ваших
now?
войсках.
Что есть?
What's in our troops?
Дружба,
Friendship,
братство,
brotherhood,
друг за друга.
one for another.
Каждый
Everyone is ready to help each other.
помочь.
Это вы когда
When
видели?
did you see that, and what did you see? Why didn't you tell that?
Вы
You
как-то
said
так
it
сказали,
like
то,
it's
что
what you
есть
have in
ваши
your
войска. Ну, то,
troops,
что у вас
but
этого нет,
it's
это
clear
понятно.
that you don't have that. You have endless fights, Chechen. Yes, we have drinking, fights.
Ну, это я
Yeah, I know
Я
that.
это
We
знаю,
all.
мне это все
Conflicts.
разборки.
Conflicts,
Автоматы забирают,
taking
БК
weapons,
забирают.
taking ammunition, taking food. That's normal.
Ну, я не
I didn't think it would be like this. We've sunk that low.
А у
And
вас
you.
как раз, и
And on
по
TV they
телевизору
say
говорили,
that.
что, наоборот,
On the
бывает,
contrary, they say when a Ukrainian ends up in Russian captivity,
в российский плен, и там
they are treated humanely and so on.
здесь вот,
But here people have bruises.
я,
Well,
как сказать,
how can I say? Maybe I got hit a couple of times on the head, but I consider that the minimum deserved.
минимум.
That's the minimum, yes, I think so too. That's what.
Когда ребята вот
When the guys took me captive,
взяли меня в плен, был момент,
there was a moment when a mortar shell landed in the dugout where we were sitting. At that moment, I thought they would shoot me down right there.
расстреляют, там
It hit a guy's arm and leg. I even remember his call sign, beard.
и перебили.
And it hit him hard, really hard.
Я не знаю, левую
I don't know if it was left arm and right leg or vice versa, but diagonally a fragment hit him.
здесь сидели рядом.
We were all sitting close. There were 8 or 9 of them and just me. They only took me prisoner. And waited. It was mortar fire from the side. Well, I don't know. The command was to cover the area, fire. Well, clearly your side was shooting. Yes.
Я в этот момент
At that moment, I thought that's it.
нет вариантов.
There's no chance of survival.
Были настроены как
Because everyone was already set. Well, you understand, right?
да, что я
I'm also here, and that guy was in really bad shape. And another one was wounded, but not as severely.
И что?
And what about our guys?
и они при этом
And they didn't touch me.
они
They told me to get out and help pull him out.
вытаскивая его, я сразу
I immediately took off my armor. Well, I asked for permission from your soldier. May I take off the body armor and helmet? Because it was hard to pull out your soldier from the dugout.
военного. И тоже
I also started helping to pull him out.
ребята ваши же сразу
And your guys immediately put tourniquets on his arm and leg,
на ногу, на носилки.
put him on the stretcher, and
Сколько
how many, it turns out? 4 remained. One of the commanders was there,
трое сослуживцев.
3 of your comrades, me and this wounded guy.
И вот этот раненый, другие побежали вперед.
The others ran ahead, split into groups right away. He gave such command. He told me to carry him. They laid out the stretcher. Well, it was such a stretcher, a cloak with handles. Yeah, a stretcher. Yes, a stretcher. And I took it and grabbed him.
Меня при этом, вашего
Your guy was evacuated further almost immediately.
эвакуировали. Ребята
And after all that happened, the guys even gave me food. Honestly, I'm not lying.
Да я знаю, что...
I know you're not lying, I know that.
Ну, ты-
And they gave me a cigarette.
ну, я
Well, I
это
understand.
знаю,
I know that. Do you think you're the first? That's why I'm saying Soviet. Yeah, and you're. It's the Soviet thing. It was like that.
Нет, это не
No,
советское,
it's
это
not
советское,
Soviet.
вы правильно
It's called.
сказали.
You said it right. Friends, brothers in arms. Побратимы. We have such a word. Побратимы?
это было вот
It was a shock for me. I didn't expect it.
Да, знаете, сколько пленных?
Do you know how many prisoners get captured after not eating for 7 days?
И шо? Не
And
кормить?
what? Not feed them?
У вас такого нет. У вас...
You don't have
можете
that.
пообщаться
You
с теми, с
You
кем
can
вы
talk to your
сидите, правильно?
cellmates. Every second one was abandoned. Every third one was sent as meat for reconnaissance by combat.
Разведку боем. И, ну, каждого
Every
второго
second was
каждого
abandoned.
третьего.
Every third one, well, yes, that's normal for you. No one saw their commanders. Did you see your company commander? Where I was captured, no.
А до этого?
And before that?
конечно,
Well, of course, he sent me into this meat grinder.
Чё сам не пошел?
Why didn't he go himself? Who was your platoon commander?
Ну,
Well, I only know the call signs. No, by rank. Ah, senior lieutenant. Mobbik or a contract soldier. Mobbik, all mobilized, and none had fought before. And I'll even say more, they, like me, have higher education diplomas. I just refused the rank right away. They were given ranks only because of their higher education diplomas. And they didn't go through university military education. No, they just weren't ashamed to give the documents. So, they are officers even without military training. Yes, how is that possible? They didn't even graduate from full-time correspondence courses. Yes, they gave officer ranks to correspondence courses students without military training. Yes, I'm also shocked by this. How can they command if they are no different from you? That's exactly what I thought. Do they even distinguish ranks? Do you distinguish ranks?
я нет.
I don't. Well, 3 stars. 3 stars. Now I know it means senior lieutenant. 1 big star. I don't know. 2 big stars.
Не знаю.
I don't know. Well, it's probably a major or colonel. Major is 1 big star. Well, for example, lieutenant colonel. Well, I know a captain has 4 stars, but I only just learned that now. What about the junior lieutenant? I don't know. You just learned this now, in captivity? No. There at the front? During training. Well, they are just like you understand. They are the same, even. How can a company commander who doesn't understand positions or what war is?
Так я думал, мы сюда приедем,
I thought we would arrive here and be assigned to some combat units,
где есть
where there are experienced officers.
боевые. Ну, то есть это для меня шок.
This was just a shock for me, just as from that moment I realized that this is not at all what I imagined.
Что какая-то
That there is, well, you imagined that there are competent officers and commanders, all is, yes, that there would be order and so on. But here it's total chaos, in the sense that one person digs from dawn till dusk and others sit and laugh at it. And that's it. I'm telling the truth. That's how it is. I know that. You're not surprising me. Can you win like that? No, of course not. If there's another mobilization, what will happen?
я буду делать.
I'll stay away from it for sure.
Не,
I mean, will it help your front?
Это поможет?
No, I don't think it will help at all. Here, nothing will help.
Техника.
What about your equipment?
Какая техника?
What equipment?
Ну, то есть те, которые
I mean,
у нас был один
we had one Zil. No, I always confuse it. Ural.
Урал
We had one Ural for 2 companies.
на 2 роты.
Дроны вот.
Did you have drones? Not a single
А
one.
наши дроны?
And our drones? In what sense? Did our drones fly? Of course, there were plenty flying.
А вас?
And yours?
Ну, какой-то там
Well, maybe one occasionally appeared. I don't know if it was ours or not.
К нашему
I know our side had none.
ни одного дрона.
Not a single drone.
Абсолютно.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, not a single drone.
Это хорошо.
That's good.
Это хорошо.
That's good. Thank you for watching, guys. Please like this video, leave any comment under it, and subscribe if you haven't yet. You can also check the previous part, and you can become a member on my Buy Me a Coffee to support my work here. Thank you, and live long and prosper.